Namaste to one and all. This is Madhuri at Science at Your Tips. So coming to today's topic, as we have discussed in the before video about states of matter, that is matter in our surroundings, we have seen different types of activities to prove that matter has particles. Particles have minute size, they are able to diffuse, and also they have the volume also they have, means they are going to occupy the volume. All those activities we have seen, and today we are going to see about the different types of the phases of matter and also how they change from one phase to other phase. Phase in the sense nothing but state. So here mainly three states we can observe in our surroundings. The matter is going to have three types of states. Along with that, two more are also there that you are going to learn in your higher classes, right? So here we have three states: solids, liquids and gases. So when you take solids, different types of the materials like pencil, you take a pen, you take a chalk, all these are nothing but the solids. So these all are having a definite shape. We can say they are having definite shape. And if you take some liquid, whatever liquid you take, like milk you take, what is the shape of the milk? If you take the milk into one beaker, the beaker shape, it will get the shape of the beaker. If you take that into a small glass, it will get the shape of the glass. If you take that into another container, it will take the shape of that container. Means it is not having any definite shape. Same like that, gases also are not having any definite shape. Then coming to next one more property here, volume. Solids, if you take, like I have taken one pencil, what is the volume of that? I have to measure the breadth, length and also height, and if I multiply all the three, I will get the volume. But if you take the liquid, how much space it is occupying based on the container shape, it is going to have some volume, and that volume is same if you take that milk into another container also. Like for example, if you are getting half liter, 500 ml of milk in one milk packet, and that you are pouring into one container, there how much milk is there? If anybody asks you how much milk you have taken in the container, your answer is 500 ml. So next again you take that into different small containers. All together how much volume is there? Means there also your answer is 500 ml, right? So volume of this liquid is definite. Liquids are not having any definite shape, but they have definite volume, right? Next, gases, they don't have any definite volume because between the gaseous molecule space is more. So as the space is more, what happens? Now for example, I have taken some gas cylinder. In that some gas is present with high pressure, like whatever the cooking gas cylinder is there, that I am saying. So in that cylinder we have so much gas. All these gas particles are present very nearer to each other there because high pressure is created, volume is very less for that. But whenever it is having a leakage or whenever it is coming out of that, then what happens? It will occupy the whole room. Like if small gas leakage is there in your home, very fastly you are going to get that smell of the gas because diffusion is more for the gas, and along with that it is going to occupy the volume of your full room or the hall, whatever the room is there, the whole room it is going to occupy. So volume is not definite for the gases. Next, coming to the compressibility property, whether the gases are having the compressibility property or not. Here we can say they are negligible. They are negligible compressible. Means negligible in the sense very minute compressibility property is there for them. We can say that almost they are not compressible, but sometimes little compressibility property is there. Next, here liquids. Liquids are little bit compressible. Then gaseous particles are more compressible because here what happens? Between the gas molecules so much space is there. So what happens here? Whenever you want to compress, all these molecules will come close to each other, and because of that they are able to compress, right? Liquids also, what happens here? Small space is there between them. That is why whenever we are able to show some pressure on them, they are able to be compressed. So they are little bit compressed. So comparing the gases, liquids and solids, gases are more compressible. Next comes liquids, after that comes solids. We can say almost solids are not compressible. Here we have one question, like if you take sponge, if you take a duster, if you take a sponge, if you take a rubber band. So here we are saying that rubber band, if you take, rubber band, whenever it is there, whenever you are stretching that rubber band, what happens? The shape is going to change. So as we said that solids are having definite shape. So can we say rubber band as a solid or liquid or gas? We can say that as a solid only. Why we are saying that solid? Because though it is not having the definite shape, what is the reason there? Here the reason is, though we are stretching that, it is having, means the shape is changed. Whenever you don't apply the force, means whenever you leave that, what happens again? It will get the before shape, original shape it is going to attain. So because of that we can say rubber band as a solid. If you take a sponge, if you are able to press that, then it will be compressed. If you release that, again it will get the shape. So though it is compressible, we can't say that it is not a solid, because here what happens, between that sponge, whatever it is made up of that sponge, between that air gaps will be there. So whenever we are pressing that, what happens, that air is going to be come out. It is going to be come out. So because of that, what happens here, it is going to be compressed, right? So that is the reason we can say rubber band and also what is that, sponge also as a solid. Now one more question, if you take some sugar or if you take salt, you take small, what is that, fine particles of sand, if you pour into one bottle, they will get the shape of the bottle. So can we say sugar as not a solid, salt or sand not a solid? We can't say that as they are not solid, they are solids only. What is the reason here? We are not taking the whole amount of sugar, like 1 kg of sugar, 1 kg of salt, we are not considering there. Particles of salt if you take, particles of sugar if you take, they are going to have some shape, right? That shape is not changed here. Though you are taking into bottle, you are taking into some glass, you are taking into a bowl, the shape is not going to change. That is why we can say sugar, salt, sand also as a solids only, right? So these are some of the properties of solids, liquids and also gases. Now we'll see the phase. Whenever you change the phase one to the other, what are the different changes occurring, right? So here we have some phase changes, means solids, liquid and gases, whenever they are changing from one phase to other phase, then what is the term we are going to use there, and also what are the different changes occurring whenever the phase is changing from one, means the solids are changing into liquids, what happens here? So that we are going to observe. Now solids are changing into liquid. Whenever solid is changing into liquid, we say that melting. In our daily life language, we say that as melting. Here we have one term in science, that is fusion. Fusion is nothing but conversion of solids to liquid. Conversion of solids to liquid is known as fusion. Same like that, liquid to gas. Whenever you want to convert liquid to gas, what we can say here? Whenever liquid is changing into gas, we can say this as vaporization. Vaporization, right? Next, if gases are changing into liquid, gases are changing into liquid, we have to use the word known as condensation. Condensation, right? If liquid is changing into solid, we have a term here known as solidification. Solidification, right? One more time we'll see. Fusion, in our daily life language we say that as melting, and vaporization, daily life language we say that as boiling, and gases are converting into liquid, we have the term condensation. Liquid to solid, we say in our daily life as freezing, or otherwise solidification is a science term. Same like that, if solids are able to convert directly into gas without having the liquid phase in the middle, that is known as, that particular phenomena is known as sublimation. Sublimation is a phase change when solids are converting into gases, right? Same like that, if gases are able to convert directly into solid. Now for example, if you take some substance, if it is able to convert directly from solid to gas, if you are cooling that gas, what happens? Again it will convert into solid. So because of that, we have a term here known as deposition. Deposition. In some of the books you can get this term also as sublimation only, but actual word is deposition, right? So these are the different terms we are using for phase change. Now we'll see with some examples, right? So here we see ice is changing into water. In this activity we are going to observe what is the change occurring here. Means what are the different types of changes we can observe, what are our observations whenever we want to convert the ice into water. Now here we have an activity to observe that what happens. So here we have taken the ice, right? In a beaker we have taken, and that we have placed that on a tripod stand, and with the help of the Bunsen burner or with the spirit lamp we are going to provide some heat energy here. Then into that beaker we have to place one thermometer, right? Next, whenever we are heating that, what happens? Actually the ice is present below 0 degrees Celsius, right? Ice, the temperature of this ice is present below 0 degrees Celsius. That type of ice we have collected here. So whenever it is below 0 degrees Celsius, you are going on heating this. Whenever you are going on heating this, what happens? Slowly from below 0 degrees Celsius, it will reach up to 0 degrees Celsius. Let us take from minus 10. Minus 10 degrees Celsius means the ice which is present at minus 10 degrees Celsius we have taken into the container, that is a beaker, and we are heating slowly. Then what happens here? It is going to reach up to 0 degrees Celsius. Then again you are continuously heating that. Here in this thermometer, if you observe, this 0 degrees Celsius is not going to increase. This 0 degrees Celsius is not going to increase. It will stay there only. Next again, if you are going on heating, means till the ice converts into water, till to that point, the temperature will remain at 0 degrees Celsius. I'll say the reason for this. Then again, if you are going on heating, slowly it will increase 10, 20, 30, 40 like that. And at 100 degrees Celsius, what happens? Water starts to boil. That is why we are saying this temperature as a boiling point of water, right? Boiling point of water, and 0 degrees Celsius is nothing but the melting point of water. Melting point of water is nothing but temperature at which solid converts into liquids at 1 atmosphere pressure. And based on this pressure also, this melting and boiling points may change, that we are not going to discuss now. We are going to see only the phase changes here at normal atmospheric pressure, at sea level, 1 atmosphere pressure. So 0 degrees Celsius we can say as the melting point. What is the reason for this? Because at 0 degrees Celsius only, slowly the solid starts to convert into liquid. So till all the solid converts into liquid, the temperature remains there in the laboratory thermometer, whatever we have taken. We can observe that temperature will be noted as 0 degrees Celsius only. Then after all the ice is converted into water, then slowly the temperature will increase up to 100 degrees Celsius. There again thermometer will show 100 degrees Celsius only till all the water converts into vapor. So we'll see what is the reason for this. What is the reason for this? Let us see here. Now here you are going to convert this ice into water, right? So many number of molecules are present here. Many number of water molecules, H2O molecules are present here in this ice. So these all water molecules, whatever are present, they are present very nearer to each other. They are present very nearer to each other, right? I'm not talking about the anomalous behavior. I'm talking only about above 0 degrees Celsius, what is happening, that phase change I'm saying. I'll say afterwards about the anomalous behavior of the water, right? So these all molecules are present very nearer to each other. When slowly we are going to increase the temperature, then what happens? These all molecules are going to get that heat energy. They get that heat energy, and that heat energy will be converted into their kinetic energy, and they are going to move one away, one from the other, they are going to move away. So because of that, what happens? Here in this water, gaps are going to form. So these gaps have to form for every molecule. We have to provide that heat energy, no? So whenever we are giving this heat energy here, all that heat energy will be gained by that molecules, and they will convert that into kinetic energy and converts into the liquid state. So each and every molecule from solid state, they have to convert into liquid state, right? So the heat energy is used up to convert that solid to liquid. So what is that phase change we are saying here? One term we are using here. What is that? Fusion. So whatever the heat energy we have provided here, this will be the hidden heat which is going to use for fusion. So that hidden heat only we have the word known as latent heat. So this latent heat is nothing but hidden heat energy which is used up by the molecules to convert that into the liquid state, because they have to use that heat energy to increase their kinetic energy so that they can move away from each other and then only that solid state will be converted into liquid state, right? Now from this liquid state they have to convert into gaseous state. Here in the gaseous state what happens? Still so much space is there in between the gaseous molecules, right? So conversion of the liquid state into gaseous state, what is that term we are using here? Vaporization, right? Vaporization word we are using here. So whatever the heat energy is there we are providing there, we have seen that in the laboratory thermometer, after 100 degrees Celsius till all the water is converted into water vapor, temperature is not increasing. What is the reason there? Because it is used up as latent heat, right? So the heat energy which is used here in the fusion process is known as latent heat of fusion, and the heat energy which is used for the vaporization is nothing but latent heat of vaporization. Here latent heat of fusion, here latent heat of vaporization. Latent heat is nothing but the hidden heat energy, because whatever the heat energy, what we will think actually, whenever we are increasing the heat energy, we are providing the heat energy, where that heat energy is going, that is hidden. Why it is hidden? Because it has to be converted into the kinetic energy so that the molecules will go away from each other, right? So that is why we are using this word latent heat. Now we will come to the exact definition of this latent heat and also how to calculate these all. So let us see the discussion about latent heat. What is the exact definition of this? So we have seen that this latent heat is nothing but the hidden heat. This is the heat energy absorbed by the matter, means absorbed by the substance. So here let us discuss about the fusion, latent heat of fusion. When solid is going to convert into liquid, this particular phenomena we are saying this as fusion, right? So in this fusion process, if you observe, solid has to convert into liquid, we are saying, means the solid is going to absorb some heat energy, then only it will convert into liquid, right? So the heat energy which is absorbed by 1 kilogram of the solid to convert into liquid, 1 kilogram of the solid convert into liquid, whatever the heat energy is absorbed, that we can say as a latent heat of fusion for this particular substance. Every different substances will have their own latent heat of fusion, right? So latent heat of fusion, L is equal to heat energy absorbed by the substance by mass of the substance. If M is equal to 1, L becomes equal to Q. Now coming to the actual definition which we have seen before, what is that? Heat energy which is absorbed by the molecules, which is absorbed by the solid molecules, 1 kg of the solid molecules to convert them into liquid. 1 kg of the solid molecules to convert them into the liquid is nothing but the latent heat of fusion. So we can say from this formula we can write this Q is equal to M into L. Q is equal to M into L. When there is no temperature change, we can use this formula Q is equal to M into L. Means whenever in a one particular question, when they are not giving any temperature changes, temperature is constant there, because here we have seen in fusion process, in melting process, the temperature remains constant we are saying. So in those calculations we can use this formula Q is equal to M into L. M is nothing but the mass, Q is nothing but the heat energy, and L is nothing but the latent heat, right?